What's up?
What's going on,
Never
dude?
a doubt. How's it going?
It's going great.
Good. So we had a great weekend, and it was the last weekend of regular season NFL football. It was a big weekend for both of us for different reasons. You guys, the Bills, were going for the division championship. We were trying to make sure that we lost the game. Got a little worried that we actually were going to win it for just a hot minute there, but it didn't really last very long. I knew it wouldn't. So
Yeah.
but it was an exciting weekend. We've got a lot to talk about. I just want to start right away with the Bills actually, and the game with the Dolphins. And you guys came away with the W. Josh Allen didn't look particularly great, but luckily Tua looked worse.
hmm
So yeah, give me your thoughts and take on everything.
There was never a doubt. Not once. I
Hence the
never,
name. Okay,
I
I
was never
didn't know.
afraid.
Okay,
I never was until,
really?
no, I was scared midway through the game. Yeah, I was terrified. I wasn't scared before the game. I thought that before the game started, we had a significant advantages with injuries. The problem was early second quarter, we lost Gabe Davis. We lost Razul Douglas. So we lost a CB1 and a wide receiver 2 right off the bat. And we had to have Trent Sherfield step in along with Dane Jackson, who aren't starter level players. In addition to our already thin linebacker core, we lost Tyrell Dodson right off the bat. He's played great this year for all of his weaknesses. He's played great, and we lost him. Had to start a guy who was on a practice squad half the year. Like it started getting thin, and then I was like, okay, well the injuries have evened themselves out on the top, not the depth stuff because Miami lost some depth also, but at the top, we lost a bunch of guys. I never thought we were going to lose. I just kind of got a little worried at one point. We had a situation like Josh played poorly early.
Yeah.
It wasn't because he didn't move the ball. He actually threw the ball really, really well. He just made 2 really bad decisions.
That one pick in the end zone. That's when I even thought I'm a little worried because, and you had that great camera angle of that entire play, and he's slowly creeping to the sideline. You're like, all right, he's just going to throw it away. And for him to throw that ball, I was like, this is not good. I was worried for you guys. I was like, this is not good for Josh Allen.
I had less issues
mindset for him to throw that.
Yeah, I had less issue with that one because
it was in the end zone.
It was 4th and 2, and it was in the end zone. So
yeah, but you were in field goal range.
We were sort of. It was like a 54-yarder.
Okay.
He went right. Those are plays he makes. So when he did it, I was like, okay.
I wondered if you felt that way, especially since it was basically a touchback. So I didn't know how you'd feel about that.
Yeah. So basically, it ended up being a punt. That's a true arm punt.
Yeah.
So I saw that and I was like, all right, can he, if there's no one else open, there was no short routes, which I don't know what Joe Brady was doing there. And he just chucked it. The first one's a problem I have. We were in the 5-yard line and Gabe didn't see, it was a 0 blitz where he had everyone coming and Gabe had 1-on-1, but Gabe didn't see, he didn't notice it. So he took off and ran his regular route. Allen expected him to stop considering 0 blitz. He was off the mark already, and Eli Apple's just there to intercept it. The thing is, though, the whole game, he was 30 for 38 and like 359. Like, he moved the ball up and down the field. They couldn't stop him. Diggs was cooking Jalen Ramsey and Eli Apple, and Khalil Shakir was awesome again. And so was Dalton Kincaid. So I had a feeling we were going to keep moving the ball, and I called it last week. If you make Tua throw outside the hashes, you start making him throw deep outs, deep comebacks, deep corner routes, things like that, he can't make those throws. And what happened at the end of the game? We had a deep corner or a deep out route about 30 yards upfield. And he, instead of throwing it away because he wants to protect his precious completion percentage, he throws it to the sideline and Claypool's not open. And he wasn't going to make that throw. He doesn't have the velocity to do it. So the play before, they ran a deep out. Well, it wasn't deep out, but it was down the field and to Tyreek, and it was almost picked that time. And then Tyreek got hurt and went out of the game. As soon as he went out, I was like, he's done. He ain't gonna do it. And he threw the pick and proved me right, and we won. So it was never a doubt in my mind. I thought that we were gonna.
I want to hear more about the game, but I do want to ask you in case I forget. After the Titans won, I mean, did you really? I'm sure you still really wanted to win this game.
Oh yeah,
Right?
yeah.
For many reasons. Obviously, you want to just be division champs, but just because of who you play next, right?
Yeah, it was that. So I didn't want to have we would have to go to Miami twice after losing to them if we lost, which would not have been fun.
Yeah.
And I hate losing to the Dolphins. I think their fans are some of the most delusional fans about Tua Tagovailoa I've ever seen in my entire life.
Were you trolling on Twitter after that win?
I bookmarked a ton of tweets and I didn't respond. And I told myself if we won, I wasn't going to do it, so I didn't do it.
Okay.
So I'm trying to hold restraint on it. I want to have good vibes, karma, whatever you want to call it. You know?
Yeah.
And I thought it's add insult to injury. They're all ready to jump off the roof of their homes already. Like,
yeah,
I don't
want
to push them. But yeah,
I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud of you. You've come a long way. I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Normally you'd be like, just jump, bitch. I don't
care. Yeah. If it was like 2019 or before COVID, once COVID hit, it wasn't because of COVID. I just told myself I wasn't going to do it anymore. And about other things too. Like, I'm just not going to battle with people like that anymore.
Yeah.
Plus, no team's perfect. So we're going to lose at some point. They're probably keeping receipts too.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I think it bodes well for us. I am wondering today who's more upset, the Jags, who were 99% chance to make the playoffs, losing the division to a rookie quarterback and coming in third.
Right.
Even with Lawrence hurt a little bit, like, come on, like, you got to win your division.
Yeah.
And or Miami, who's been talking trash to Buffalo all year, has a 3-game lead with 5 games left, and then loses it on a level that is just a massive collapse. It's the second year in a row Tua and the team have collapsed and fell in and like imploded like a dead star.
To be honest, I'm not really surprised where they ended up, because I would say like 6 weeks ago, I remember looking at their schedule after they freaking creamed the Commanders.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at their schedule and I'm like, ooh, they've got a rough stretch.
Yeah.
And that's why, and you guys were getting hotter, and it kind of ended up where I thought. So for me to answer the question you just had, I think the Jaguars, that is a tough loss. I mean, it's funny because on Twitter, the Jaguars page was still set. They were selling playoff tickets before the game. Before that game, they already had playoff tickets on sale. So I feel bad for them.
I don't know why they were so confident. Tennessee's not bad.
No, and Mike Vrabel, a great coach. I'm surprised that he got fired, but
I like Vrabel.
We're never out of a game, any game. So
yeah, we'll talk about Vrabel later too.
Sure.
I do think that if it's me, just missing the playoffs completely is the worst, because then you don't have another week to prove yourself.
Yeah.
Right. The hardest part about being a football fan is when you go into the game, you're so hyped about it. I don't know about you. I get when our team loses, I feel like crap for like a day or two. When in high school, I'd be a whole week. I'd be upset until the team played again. And losing like that, not having a chance to redeem yourself, that's a bad feeling, man. It's an awful feeling.
I know we have a lot of Commanders fans in the group, and I'm pretty sure I can speak for all of us where we don't really get super upset when we lose. We just don't want to get embarrassed. That's the standard that we have now. We just don't want to get absolutely butt raped. So I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but that's really all our standard is. If you lose, fine, make it respectable, so I can get some sleep tonight. That's all we care about.
Yeah, I mean, I used to feel that way too. Like when we were missing the playoffs every single year, I would be like, okay, we're playing whoever, and I'm like, we're playing the Chiefs, and they're good, or the Colts at the time when they had Manning. It's like I just want to be competitive, so next week can be like, look how like we're getting better,
Yeah. So you're on a different level now, but
now it's like I hate when we don't win by 20 against a bad team. Like if we don't win by more than 2 scores against the Steelers this week, I'm probably not going to be super happy with it. I'm like, we're going to be done in another round,
Yeah.
So,
we'll talk about that a little bit. I mean, what do you think about that game? What are your expectations? And You talked about injuries. I mean, are most of these people healthy again, or what?
So TJ Watt's out. I think that my camera's blurry. Minka Fitzpatrick, I believe, was dinged up. I don't know if he's going to play. I heard he might. So I think it's fine. I don't like Mason Rudolph doesn't scare me, and I don't think they have the weapons to score on us regularly.
Yeah.
George Pickens is a okay player. Like he's more flash than he is consistency. He had no catches last week against the backups on the Ravens. So he disappears a lot.
Likes to throw it deep, man. I mean, he does that Mason Rudolph does like to throw it deep.
Yeah, he does. He likes to throw it. I liked him in Oklahoma State when he came out. I thought he was a good consolation prize if we couldn't get somebody like Josh High. I thought that he would be an okay, next best option if we didn't get a first rounder. I thought he was a second round value. So he's not dynamic. He's not going to kill you. He's got a pretty good arm. He's a big kid, but I don't see them doing much. I think this is the easiest game of the week to call. Hopefully it doesn't bite me next time we talk about it after the game, but it's going to, I just think there's no chance. I just think that they're playing over their heads too. I don't think they're a team that really should have been in the playoffs in the first place.
Yeah.
They're a they should have been 8-9 probably instead of 10-7. They had played our backups of the Ravens and they barely squeaked by a bad team the week before. They're not much to me. There's good games this week between the 2-7 match of the Cowboys and the Packers, but it's not Buffalo and Pittsburgh.
Right.
So, did you want to go to? Did you want to talk a little bit about the Commanders and
of course,
their front office stuff?
Well, I mean, it truly is Monday, and we knew this Monday morning. It was a new era. We knew it was. That's really when the start of the new ownership began, because before then it was still really remnants of Daniel Snyder. Even Ron Rivera was a Daniel Snyder hire, so we were starting fresh. Ron was fired. Let's quickly go back to the game, though, because, again, we had all of our scrubs in.
Yep.
And it's funny because even we got really lucky. It was so clear that the talent level was so much higher on the Cowboys.
Yep.
Compared to us. And you get a little bit of that Rudy feel where, you've got a lot of scrubs that are trying their best and they're trying so hard, and you can see it on the field. It turned into a blocked kick. It turned into an interception. That was great. And you can't help, even though I wanted them to lose, you can't help but be like, yeah. That felt pretty good. I knew it wouldn't last. Dallas did not look concerned at all.
No.
They didn't need to be concerned at all. And it happened exactly the way that we wanted it to. We were able to end that kicker streak, which was kind of nice. We had some sort of silver lining in there. So we did our job. And what happened was we lost. The Patriots did not win, which I was hoping they would. I know you thought maybe they'd beat the Jets. That was a terrible game. But the Patriots lost. And then so when that happened, we talked about it last week, it really came down to other games. And everything really worked in the Commanders' favor. The Saints beat the Falcons. I think the Steelers won. The Raiders won. And all those wins helped us because the four teams that we beat, the strength of schedule for them was worse. And the four teams that the Patriots beat, it was a little bit better. So that put us in the number 2 slot. So I couldn't be happier. We're in a great position. And if you look at, I even jotted this down just to kind of summarize. I mean, this is what a new general manager and head coach has to look forward to right now. Okay.
Yep.
New elite quarterback prospect. Obviously, we're going to get one. I mean, yes, we can talk about maybe drafting Marvin Harrison Jr., but no, I think we're going to get a quarterback. We have 5 top 100 picks. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And we have $90 million to spend in free agency. I'm not sure if we're number 1 in that, but we're definitely like top 1 or 2 or 3 in that range.
I think you have to be. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's super attractive. And then, of course, the first thing that came out, the big news was we hired 2 people. This guy, had to look him up, Bob Myers. He used to run the Warriors NBA. And then this general manager has been around forever, Rick Spielman.
Yep.
Been doing this for 20 years. So they were not hired in a GM capacity. I know a lot of people thought, I did too. I was worried, but really they were just hired as advisors to figure out who to hire. And they are on a hiring. They have requested to interview everybody. I mean, head coaches, we've got Raheem Morris. We've got Anthony Weaver from Baltimore. We've got Mike McDonald from Baltimore. Ben Johnson, that's the big sexy name right now, from Detroit. Aaron Glenn from Detroit. Dan Quinn, Dallas. No, thank you. Bobby Slowick of Houston. And then, of course, we've got Jim Harbaugh. We don't know if he's in the mix yet. Mike Vrabel's available now. You know, one thing I will say about Jim Harbaugh, Alex, is obviously his brother plays in Baltimore. That is a super close family. I mean, super close. You see his dad all the time in the stands and stuff. And it came out that it's harder for them to travel. And Kevin Sheehan on his pod, I would definitely recommend Kevin Sheehan if anybody doesn't listen to him, Commanders Radio. He even noted that there's a lot of talk about how this would be a perfect setup for him because they're all close. They like the dad likes to go to all their games, the Ravens and Commanders, and be right there.
Yeah. So
I'm just saying I'm kind of excited about that. You didn't seem to think that would happen. Is that right? Is that what you just?
So I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But
and he's also a guy that likes tradition. He likes, prestige when it comes to franchises and history. Look at Michigan. Look at everything he's done at Stanford. I think I don't see him going somewhere like the Chargers, that have actually just no history whatsoever. It's a town that they don't even have fans, for God's sake.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's interesting. Somebody posted in our group today about him, and I definitely think I would love that.
I just don't trust him. I just think he's a guy who he reminds me of Nick Saban, where like Nick Saban tried to come to the NFL and he was like,
yeah.
And then he was just like, he did it for a couple of years and left, just kind of like he did with San Francisco. He came in 3 or 4, whatever it was, years, and he got to the Super Bowl, and then he just kind of left and was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I don't know why he's so. I guess I don't know why he went back. Like once you kind of escalate, I feel like, but I guess Michigan being where he played was why he had an opportunity to do that. He wanted to do it. But I think I can see, I mean, you sold me a little bit. I think Washington being close to his brother is a good possibility. Washington, I guess I can't get the vibe out of my head of them just like being a cluster, like their culture just being what it is. I know it's not the same anymore, but I mean, I still had that feel. And also there's something to it. Like I know everybody loves Jim Harbaugh, but are we sure that he's like, offensive genius?
He's not long ago that they were talking about firing him, just maybe like a year or two.
It was like, it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I've just never. Everybody loves him because of his name. I remember when he played for the Colts. I thought he was a spunky kind of Ryan Fitzpatrick kind of player, where he was just a kind of journeyman, but he could win you ball games. And then, as a coach, he's done a great. I mean, obviously, he won a national championship, but he's been great at Michigan and he does good at recruiting. But at this point, is it really him, or is it just the player? Like he was at the Niners, where they had a pretty good front office and they stacked the team pretty well.
Yeah.
But I think he's good. You can't say he's not a good coach. I wonder if he's the genius that people put him out there with, or if you should try. Like I really like Slovic. That's his name, right?
Yeah.
He has experience on the Washington as an assistant.
Like everybody.
And then he was with Shanahan.
Yeah.
And then he became OC at the Texans, where he took a rookie quarterback with.
Yeah,
the weapons are good, but they're not that good,
Yeah, so
he's young.
I mean, obviously, there's a lot of names here. One thing I really like that Josh Harris, the owner, Commanders, is doing right now, he's requesting to interview literally everybody. He's not leaving anything on the table. He even said he's going to have a really vast net, but he's going to be quick with it. And I love that he's doing that. Just because you never know what one thing leads to when you meet this one person. But and then the GMs that they're going to interview, the 49ers assistant Adam Peters, assistant GM. These are all assistant GMs. The Ian Cunningham, the Bears, Mike Borgonzi, Kansas City, Alec Halaby, Not sure if I'm saying that, from Philadelphia,
Yeah, I
and
don't
will
know.
play. So these are all assistant GMs. The only thing I wanted to note is apparently Adam Peters is really good friends, went to the same high school as this Bob Myers guy, the guy we
Okay.
hired to, and that's a connection there. So that might mean something. Obviously, 49ers, great organization. John Lynch, this guy Adam Peters decided to stay on one more year and work
Yeah.
under him instead of
Mhm.
taking a new job. I'd
Yeah.
love to have him. So personally, that's at the top of my list. But I think the big theme for right now, I mean, it's only Tuesday.
Yeah.
We got a lot of time. Well, not a lot of time because they're going to act quick. But I think the big theme here is they are doing everything they're supposed to do. And the other thing is they intentionally, Kevin Sheehan pointed this out,
Mhm.
they intentionally leaked all of these announcements. So if you look at what's the guy's name from ESPN that does all the news and stuff? Not Ian Rappaport, but the other guy.
Schefter.
Yes, Adam Schefter.
Yeah.
If you look at his tweets, he's announcing all these moves. Everything is Commanders. There's no other team.
Yeah.
So it was kind of clear that the Commanders were actually leaking this. They want us all to know that they're absolutely doing everything right now, and I kind of like that. I respect that.
Well, if you come from an organization that has not been transparent, and then now you have transparency.
What Dan would do is find anybody that'd be willing to hop in a jet and take a limo to meet him.
Yep.
And he would throw a bunch of money at him.
Yeah.
And that was about it. And that was it, he just was looking for some idiot that's willing to sign for a lot of money. They're doing it the right way for sure.
Yeah.
So
I think it's good in some ways. Like you have like an NBA. Like I don't think the NBA and the NFL can operate equally. Yeah. This is different, but I think it's good that your owner is an NBA guy. He's bringing in some NBA guys to look at it because you do have a lot of money. So you can almost operate like an NBA team in the short term and use all your money and stack the team to an extent, right?
Yeah.
Now, it might bite you in the future because in the NFL, you have to restructure contracts and kick money down the road sometimes, turn salaries into signing bonuses, and then split it over a period of years, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever was left on the contract to fit under the cap and break it down. The NBA doesn't do that typically or in the same manner. So you're getting guys with a lot of money. If you were like Miami or Buffalo, who doesn't have a lot of money, and you were trying to bring somebody in to do this, you're going to have a lot more problems because the NBA guys will be like, where's the money? And you're like, we don't have any. You got to cut this guy and take dead cap hits and save $3 million and still pay that guy $20 million or whatever's left. And then, and you got to restructure 10 dudes' contracts to do it. That'll be something they have to learn over time. That's why you need an NFL GM officially originally, but eventually. But I think it's good where you are now because you are going to have a lot of flush cash just to throw around and free it. This show's going to be interesting when free agency starts.
Oh yeah.
You're going to get like you'll get all the camera time because we're not going to do anything. Our draft's going to be fine. We're going to get players, but outside of that, like you guys are going to get lots of high-end talent, especially with the right coach.
Something that you haven't had to deal with for a long time, but players have never wanted to come here. So we had to overpay just to get somebody to come.
We still do sometimes.
Do you? Okay.
Von Miller, we had to pay a ton of money for him because we weren't going to get him otherwise. It was an awful mistake now. But like mid-tier talent, like you realize Diggs came here because we traded for him.
Right.
He didn't want to come here. I mean, I think he's fine with it, but he didn't want to be here at first. Von Miller, we way overpaid for. And that's a lot of other guys are homegrown in Buffalo. Yeah. So we have a different image now. Like you're seeing like, wow, look at those players that go to Buffalo. So hopefully other players see that and they want to come here because we do sign guys. But you're right. Like Washington's, if there's no elite quarterback,
no.
People don't want to come to your team.
In front office, it's really going to attract, I think, a lot of talent.
Yeah.
But I'm super excited. I think they're just doing everything the right way so far.
Mm-hmm.
And we obviously have a lot of time to talk about the draft, but we've got that number 2 locked up. And, I mean, off the top of your head, is there somebody in particular that you would like to see the Commanders pick as a head coach?
Yeah, I like Slovic the best.
You like him?
He's young. comes from a Shanahan tree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shanahan was there. He's familiar with the town.
Right.
As long as he left on good terms, I think it's a good fit. I don't like Ben Johnson that much. I think people love him, but I've watched my brother-in-law is a big Lions fan. And we watched some games, like we watched that Thanksgiving game together and they lost. And the play calling to me was situationally bad.
Really?
I think he's a smart guy. He's also a nice guy. Like he's not gonna like beat up your players, which I guess maybe we talked this last time. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. But you need to hold a certain amount of authority with your players. And I don't know if he's got that. I don't think he's a genius by any means. I think he's got a talented roster. And I think that I think he's good at placating his offense to the pieces he has.
Yeah.
I don't think necessarily he's going to formulate an offense that's going to work for anybody like Andy Reid or Shanahan does.
Yeah.
Or Mike McDaniel or any of these other really good play callers. I don't think he's that guy. But I think he's not a bad option. I just think that I like Slovic better. I like what he's done in Houston a lot. I like where he's been. I like his age. He's an offensive coordinator. The only other option I would say that I would take some heat to as far as not an offensive play caller is Mike Vrabel. I like him. He's good. He knows he's tough. Players love him. He's a winner. He comes from,
and he's a good game clock management. I don't think he's ever had a good.
He hasn't had that much talent.
No,
he has for a while, and he beats teams he shouldn't beat. Now he's never won anything, but I don't think he's ever really had a team that can.
No,
like, the Titans have never been a real. Even when they were the 1 seed, no one thought they were going to go to the Super Bowl.
No.
But I think he's a good leader. I think he comes from Belichick, right? So he's got some of that in him, maybe a softer version.
Mm-hmm.
So
by the way, Belichick still has not been fired. So I thought that was interesting.
I think he might not get fired.
You think?
Yeah.
Or maybe take a different role.
I think he's going to back. There's a chance he stays and backs out of his GM, responsibilities.
Right.
And that's really what he's an awful drafter. He overdrafts players all the time. It's a running joke that he does this, and he's got a roster now of a bunch of underachievers who were drafted too high, who aren't high end athletes, and that's why they lose.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling they're gonna keep him because Kraft wants him to break the record in New England. I think I think it's 50-50. Like really. Yeah. I think there's definitely not a guaranteed. And if he gets fired, do not hire him.
Right. I don't want him.
He wasn't good before Brady, and he hasn't been good since Brady.
Right.
It tells you something. And Brady left and won a Super Bowl the first year.
Right.
And was competitive the next year, but the team wasn't as good. So I don't know if I've never been like I'm scared of Belichick. He's going to scheme something up. Like I was afraid of him when we had, JP Lossman and Trent Edwards because they suck. They suck. So I don't know. It's not an indictment on us. I mean, it's more just like he's beating up on bad teams. So, and the division was never good when Brady was winning here,
Yeah.
Very, very rarely we got 2 playoff teams. So I'd say Vrabel, Slovic, my top 2, and then I would probably bring in the guy as GM from San Francisco if you can get him. The only problem is I wonder if he tries to build the team like San Francisco's built it, which is good, but you got to find the right pieces. And I don't know if there's that many pieces out there to build that. Like they got 2 elite pass rushers. One of them was your old pass rusher. You can debate whether he's elite, but
no, he's not.
And they run a zone heavy scheme on the back end they know their assignments all the time. Really good. So you need the right DC to run that. You've got elite linebackers, 2 of them. You've got an elite running back who's the best in the league. You've got 2 number 1 wide receivers. You got a number 1 tight end who's a top 3 tight end, and you got a ball distributor. So I mean, you could mess around and get and he might draft Penix at pick 2 instead of Drake May. And if you watched the game last night, that's not good. Huh?
We don't know that he's gonna, that he would structure the.
No, you don't. you know, he
So
might have a totally different idea. He's just learning from Lynch. But I'm just giving you facetious.
No,
I'm being facetious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. If I'm them, like, I think they're doing the right thing by putting it out there. I think they have the right front office in place to try to, like, I'd like these bringing in advisors because he doesn't know how to do this. He's an NBA owner, you know?
Yeah.
So, but that's basically what I would do.
Okay.
So as far as Washington goes, have they any other kind of what's it called, leaks about who they're interested in? I've only seen like 2 or 3.
No, I've seen, before the end of the season, you would see leaks all the time. I don't know how real any of them were, but I think at this point, they're going to be interested in everybody and request interviews, and that's all we know. So one thing I don't want to happen is, we talked about this guy, what is it, Bob Myers? It sounds like a really talented guy. I'm so glad. I mean, a lot of people are really impressed that we hired him as a quote unquote consultant. I mean, I really hope it doesn't turn into a situation where he becomes the GM, because that's where I don't think NBA and NFL can equal each other. I don't want that to happen. I think that his talent really lies in who he knows how to really, because again, remember, we're creating an organization from the bottom up again, and that's a lot of pieces before you even get to the football aspect of it. And so that's my only concern. This guy, Rick Spielman, by the way, I guess he's been in the league for like 20 years, GM. He's the one that brought over Kirk Cousins. He's the one that had hired that previous head coach at the Vikings, Mike Zimmer?
Yeah.
Whatever. It doesn't sound super impressive to me. It sounds like people are impressed with him. So we'll see what happens.
I was going to bring that up. So like my fear is the same thing. Like when that came out, I was like, is this just a soft transition?
Yeah, because what if he does? He's like, well, we decided we're kind of the best people to do this. So I think it's going to be up.
We're looking around. We just decided to choose ourselves.
Yeah. So I definitely don't want that to happen. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah, that would be my fear, is like, so he didn't say that. So just to be clear, he'd released this. I don't know if you even have the picture of what was released originally, what they said, but when they released it, everyone, well, I did anyway. I know a lot of people were doing it. They were saying, what? This is not what we want as our GM.
No.
And then later that day, or maybe early maybe it was this morning, I forget. But later that day, he said, hey, just to make it clear, these guys aren't my dudes.
Yeah.
These are just consultants or temporary workers.
Right.
Him pivoting back that way to try to, or not pivot, but him backtracking a little bit and backpedaling out of that scares me a little bit, that he reacted to it so quickly. He's either being completely honest, or he's just trying to quell everybody's fears until he actually makes that move and go, look at all the stuff they've done.
Because I didn't take it that way when I even read it. I can see how you could take it from it, because the GM was in there because he was a former GM.
Yeah.
And it used the term, help run the team.
Yeah.
So, but you're right. There's some more detail came out, and then it made it clear they're really there is in an advisory role.
Yeah.
Figure out who to hire. So
yeah.
I don't think he backtracked, but it doesn't mean I'm still a little concerned that maybe again they might hire themselves. I don't know.
Yeah. Here's something interesting. So on one of the posts earlier this week, Jason had mentioned that he would rather, and this is not a draft talk. This is draft talk, but this is a hypothetical scenario, right? He would rather have, or potentially rather have, Marvin Harrison Jr., who, just to give you some background, if you haven't done a lot of research on, is a generational wide receiver.
Yeah.
He's Marvin Harrison's son, right? But he's 6'4" version and runs like a gazelle, right? And great routes, great hands, played at Ohio State, by far the best receiver in the country. And maybe the best receiver prospect we've seen since, I don't know, before, but better than Jamar Chase, like really good. And then taking Michael Penix, who played last night. in round 2.
Right.
Which after watching last night, I'm not so sure I think he's a second round pick, but we can talk about that another time. Instead of taking Drake May at number, or Jaden Daniels, who's from LSU, at number 2. So passing up on the clear-cut top 5 quarterback prospect for a top 50 overall prospect quarterback and the best receiver we've seen since, better than Julio. He's like a level up on Julio Jones. That's what I call. He's like Julio Jones with better route running and just a better overall, prospect. He's bigger and faster.
I respect that, but I'm not. I mean, I don't agree. I definitely think that we go all in on quarterback, and because we hear that term generational at this quarterback draft too. So, and you need a quarterback to throw the ball to a wide receiver.
I agree.
But I mean, that's not, obviously that's definitely a take that a lot of people have. I just personally think we go all in on quarterback. And hey, you did not mention the first pick because we don't know that we don't move up to get that. Okay. I don't want to hear it. So, because I'm a Caleb Williams fan now.
They're not doing that.
All right, we'll see.
This is what I don't like. I don't like that Caleb Williams loses to Washington, the Penix guy we just talked about, the quarterback, lost to his team, and then goes and cries to his mom.
Yeah, the crying is not a great look.
Dude, I know everybody cries, but dude, you're a football player, and you need to man up. You don't need to be crying in the stands to your mom after the game. Go in the locker room and cry. Well, guys do that all the time. Why are we doing it out in public? Why are you, asking for partial ownership in teams before they draft you, saying, hey, if I get drafted, I want ownership. And then also online on X, literally liking, you can go to everybody's likes and see what they do. He's liking posts of people saying, I want them to keep Justin Fields, so he doesn't want to play for Chicago. And it's like, dude, I'm sorry. I hated it when Eli did it, Eli Manning. I hated when Peyton Manning did it. Like, these are things that, like,
stay off of there.
Sorry, dude. I'm sorry that you're going to be 100 and something millionaire at the age of 23. Yeah. And you have to play for the damn Bears. Make them better. That's just part of the game.
It's so early. I mean, I don't even know. There's so much time and, the combine and all that. So we'll see what happens. But
we'll see what happens. I just don't think they're giving the pick up.
Right.
I mean, they'd have to really.
They're crying. Yeah.
Yeah. I think all of it's just
cry, right? Pimps don't cry. Pimps don't cry, right?
Pimps don't cry. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The other guys.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
But no, I mean, Jason, I did see that take, and that I've seen a couple people have that, but I don't know if that really works. If you need a quarterback, and it starts with that. So
you take swings, man. You don't get to. Here's the thing: you don't get to pick in the top 3 very often in your life. Like, y'all picked in the top 3 twice in the last 15, 12 years, and you took RG3 and Chase Young, right?
Trent Williams, if you want to go back a little further. Trent Williams, RG3, Chase Young.
So y'all are picking in the top 3 more often than most teams, but you don't want to be picking there once every 5-10 years.
No, but not once have we been in a situation where supposedly, because I'm not a college football expert, where there's this much quarterback talent.
Yeah, and it's a really heavy quarterback draft. This is not Kenny Pickett's draft.
I just don't think that in our position where you're trying to build a franchise and you're trying to create something long-term, quarterback is definitely the right decision, not a wide receiver. Doesn't mean that guy's not awesome.
Even if he's generational. Because if that quarterback's awful,
right.
He's awful.
And he's a spokesperson and, just a lot of different things. But
yeah, you're wasting. Also, when you draft him at the same time, you draft a receiver, quarterback, you're wasting. The quarterback's not in his prime until he's like 26, 27. And then you know what you got. A receiver's on the back end of his prime at 26 or 27. You're wasting like 3 or 4 years of an elite wide receiver's prime by putting him with, a quarterback. You don't even know if it's going to be good or not, Yeah. So, but we could talk about that kind of at a later date. So go ahead.
I was just going to say, I've got a different topic here. I just wanted to, did you see where after the Atlanta Saints game where Arthur Smith was going off on the Saints coach for that touchdown, which really should have just been a victory formation, but Jameis Winston ended up throwing a touchdown.
Yeah, I heard about it. You told me about it. I didn't know about it because I didn't watch.
Yeah, I mean,
didn't watch the game.
Arthur Smith acted like an idiot, just cussing. You could see him, like his lips, and then I think even the assistant coach, and you could tell that I can't remember the head coach's name for the Saints. He's been around for a while. But you could tell he felt bad. He was almost apologetic, and actually, when he got on the podium after the game, he did apologize to Arthur Smith. Although I think Arthur Smith deserved it. He just, seemed like an asshole.
Yeah.
But the funny part is the interview with Jameis Winston after, because really it's his fault, because the head coach said, "Hey guys, victory formation. We're not going to be jerks and score. Went up by like 4 touchdowns."
Yeah.
And then here's what Jameis Winston said. So let me just present this and show you guys real quick.
Well, I apologize to DA because the play was victory. But I also explained to DA that it was a team decision. And I think when you have a team morale, and I asked the guys, I said, guys, like, what do you want to do? We know how much Jamal means to this team, and I understood from DA's perspective. So I give him that. But DA didn't condone that at all. He didn't. However, we decided as a team to do it, and man, we got an interception to the 1 yard line. So if we would have scored, would it still would have been disrespectful?
Right.
So
Tyron wasn't in on it, was he?
No, Tyron was not in.
No, just kidding.
That's hilarious.
So I just love how he's like, I want to apologize to my coach, but it was a team decision. We all decided to do that. But I'm sorry, coach. Yeah.
The coach wasn't a part of it, but it was a team decision.
Like, how disrespectful is that? I mean, I don't know.
Jameis Winston is comedy gold when he speaks. He says things, and you're just like, I can't believe it's hilarious. I don't understand. Explain the things he's been a okay quarterback in the NFL, and I like him. I think he's funny.
Yeah, I like him.
But he says things sometimes, and I'm like, dude, what do you? No one want. This is why nobody wants to take another chance on the guy, other than he throws a million interceptions. But I'm not surprised.
Funny, and the head coach really didn't. I mean, at least to the public, did not reprimand him or anything, or said that he shouldn't have done that. If anything, he defended him and took full responsibility, which I guess I respect that too. But I
get the vibe though. Like, this is what I don't like. And this is something that I think that happens more and more now, like in the world we live in, where like the players feel it's okay to make a team decision and go against your leader, your true leader. Like, your coach is the leader,
right?
Your backup quarterback is not the leader. Like,
no,
he has control at that point, right? But he's not he's in control by default because he's on the field. Like, coach can't take the snaps. So he made an executive decision. He's not an executive, Right. And it's like, what are we doing? Like, why are players doing this? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, your coach says to do something, this is what he wants you to do, and the game was out of hand at that point, I believe, right?
It wasn't even close. I mean, they won.
Why? Like, why are you trying to?
Because it had to do with, and I can't remember if it was a throw or a handoff, but somebody was trying to hit a mark, it was
Jamal Williams.
Okay,
I think,
and that's what it was all about. But
touchdown. He has a touchdown incentive, I think.
I mean, if Jamal Williams wanted some crab legs, I'm sure Jameis Winston would have stolen those.
Yeah, he'll do the whole.
So
yeah, that was ridiculous.
That's all I got, man. What do you got? Anything else?
No. Just want to say, like, we'll probably during this part of the year do more frequent stuff. So I know it took like 3 or 4 days to do this, but I'd like to do this twice a week. Hopefully, if we can make our schedules work, just to kind of let people know, like, what we're going to try to do is bring others on the show potentially. I have a couple people that may want to do it this week for like a playoff. I want to do a playoff preview show before the end of the week, probably.
Cowboys
Thursday,
fan, right? We got a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, one Cowboys fan, and then potentially another Commanders fan if I can get them going, and then maybe a Ravens fan. I'm not sure, but we'll see. We'll see if we can get. I don't think we'll be able to do all at once, but
yeah,
we'll see. I'd like to have maybe some people on in debate setting we have like 4 or 5 people on.
Okay.
And talking about the playoff matchups and what they think about the matchup,
Got it.
So maybe that could be something if I can make everyone's schedule work for the week. If not, definitely next week we'll do that. But we're going to definitely do a playoff preview show.
I like it.
If we can get a lot of people on, we might make it an hour-long episode. If it's going to be just me and you, that's probably going to be a 15 or 20-minute episode just so we can talk about just the playoffs.
Right.
Give our takes, maybe go over what the line is, the over-unders, and talk about just kind of the betting lines with it and what we think is going to happen and see who's right and who's wrong. And maybe we can even tally up our record throughout the time and just see what it looks like, at the end of the day. But I think that's probably the next thing that's on the slate as we move through the playoffs and kind of figure out, what it's going to look like and just kind of clue in on it. And I think that's pretty much it. But
Cool.
I'm thinking Thursday or Friday.
Sounds good to me.
Cool. You got anything else?
That's it, man.
All right, dude. Appreciate it, man.
All right.
All right.
Later, guys.
See ya.